Sup world, sup Zion, it's Prince Easy coming at you again once more. And as usual, I do have a couple slides that I have here, right? Let's just say that. Okay, as usual, we are picking up from where we left off. So this is mainly covering the events that I didn't cover in the other video, so to speak, and current ongoing situations mainly, right? So it didn't work anyway, right? It's a mechanism of convenience, right? It operates on convenience to some people and not to some, right? They'll tell you that in order for your case to have weight in them, you have to have a superpower behind you, right? That would exert the hidden pressure required, so to speak, right? But again, since you have untangled yourself from the spider's web, expect the spider to be angry, right? Expect the spider to be angry, right? The operator, right? The true owners to retaliate, right? You have escaped their mechanism. So they might either come directly or use proxies. Either way, it's gonna become a real deal. Okay? So buckle up. You are prepared. Just handle it with finesse, right? Well, I don't know if the Indonesian president is listening to the statements that are coming from the Prime Minister of said state that is waging said genocide. I don't know, right? Just like in the Ukraine, we are now talking about post-war issues. We are not even there yet, right? The negotiators have been bombed. I don't know if, right? I don't know if, right? Basically, you having a negotiation table with the Palestinians, you're gonna get struck. I don't know what post-war. Well, this event, right? I haven't seen a lot of people cover it because it went under the radar and it was, I think, algorithmically suppressed. I think this blew up in their face, and this was at their attempt to contain the situation, right? And I do not believe that it is somehow connected with the mic glitching out. I'm just not finding any connection. But what I would say is that a lot of people got hacked, right? And if you are smart, then you'd have a resource in your device, right? That's one big bugging operation, right? High level bugging operations, right? Because there's a lot of scrambling and stuff going on. Okay, that's my belief anyway. A lot of people got hacked, right? And the mic situation is just to show you who is in charge, right? The thing is, people should be concerned is it is too obvious, right? It is too obvious, or rather they are too fragrant with their crimes, and that should be, right? Evil is done in the dark. Okay? Magic is done in the open. So what are we looking at? Okay? 2 times this particular entity is being talked about and the mic goes off. It is too obvious, right? And I'm going to show you other obvious stuff, right, that people should start questioning, right? Should start questioning, because I believe they are leading this somewhere, right? I want justice, right? I don't want people, innocent people, to be part of that said punishment handed out after justice has been found, right? I'm that kind of guy, right? So I'm just saying, the alarm bells, in my opinion, they are going off so hard, right? Okay, this is from the horse's mouth, so to speak. And again, like I said, with this situation, they have already done it, right? When they're talking about it, they have already done it. And from my personal experience, yes, they do have things in the sky up there that can be deadly without leaving any form of trace. Just basically a clean getaway, right? And other capabilities. So when you say denial, sky denial, that has to mean something else right now, as of now. It has to have a broader meaning, so to speak. I just love this tweet. I had to share it, right? The teleprompter broke. He told other nations are going to hell. He bragged about violating international law, blamed climate change, complained about the wind. Right? Well, I'm gonna tell you my opinion about what I think that was, right? And then there's a tiny tangent before the whole situation hit the situation, so to speak. Right? We had this going on whilst everything was unfolding, okay? And of course, we had this idiocracy, right? That me personally, I can give my opinion, right, that this is not okay, right? Niggas don't approve of this, right? Niggas don't approve of this. They don't approve of this. Look at their faces, right? But again, I know what this is about. They're paying the piper. He's been saying this for like the longest. Again, projecting. And then I shall link this video here, quite informative. Alright? It's basically pertaining to this. Hey. Okay. This is 6 years ago. What is the hashtag? It's more like CRISPR rabies. Yeah? Because that's what you're gonna get. The symptoms are gonna be like so, but it's not gonna be like so. Yeah? So this is from Deuteronomy 27. The first curse, to make anything for you to worship as God by your own hands. The second, not respecting parents. The third, if you remove the landmark, right, trying to steal other people's land, followed by misleading others intentionally, right? of course, perversing the judgment, right? Perversing the judgment, meaning tipping the scales in your favor to create situations of injustice, right? To the stranger, meaning the people that are not of your culture or background, right? The fatherless and the widow, of course, emphasis on those, the victims, right? And of course, a man that lieth with his father's wife, right? Any manner of beast, right? If you lie with any manner of beast, right? Followed by that, basically incest, right? Followed by the mother-in-law, and of course, the one that strikes or rather hits his neighbor in secret, right? And of course, those people who take rewards from the slaying of the innocent, right? And of course, followed by, last but not least, not recognizing said laws, itself being portioned accordingly. Like I said, tia maji last time, remember? Well, this has always been his plan, right? But if you look at the opinions that people held back then, right? Remember when he was talking about making a deal with Ukraine and saying that maybe if some industries were under the control of the US, they would not get attacked, right? I knew before even he was president that this was gonna get here. I knew this, right? I've been doing this for a long time, let's just say that, right? This is not my only channel. Okay, let's just say this, right? Let's just say this. The other channel was deleted, right? It was too much, let's just say that, right? But I knew even back then, even now, right? But again, it has to slowly unfold, right? Even the synagogue of Satan connection to this conflict, right, from Zelensky's point of view, right? And I would like to ask even Putin, even Russia itself, do they think, right, in a real sense that the so-called synagogue of Satan people, right, because that's what they are, regardless of what people feel like, do they have or harbor any form of resentment, right? I would even like to ask the Europeans the same thing, right? Because I see that all of these parties are in a tangent to a collision. That's going to be interesting, but I'm more concerned about the reasoning of the West to why they're doing what they're doing, right? And we hear echoes and rumors, yeah? They struck again, I guess, after deploying in New York and then in Europe, humongous black women, right? No black men, of course, right? And here they are again. I think they are building up to something, right? I don't believe that they just set this thing up without anyone seeing them like that, you know? It doesn't work like that, you know? Even the statues in New York, and they were placed there for some reason that we are yet to find out. But I'm patient. Yeah. So the payout of that whole situation has come, right? You remember that crazy black guy with the Ukrainian? Well, something happened. The payout, right? After the people have fallen for the trick, this is what they get, right? A month after, right? Ndio mjomba, kama kawaida. Swali hapo. A month after the Senate passes a bill. Now, who wants to bet that in one way or the other, this bill it's a fascist bill, basically? Who wants to bet? Now you know who is behind everything. It only took a month, right? So again, like I said, you have to be patient with these things, right? Again, strong statements are coming out these days, right? Again, he's looking for a chance to have a back and forth with Putin. That's what I think. For the cameras. That's why he keeps showing up over there. And I have a feeling in my gut that Putin knows this. He just wants a cat fight so as he can prove a point, right? And grown men do not get involved in no cat fight. Yeah, brace yourself. I heard there are 2 more developing in the Caribbeans over there. I hope they meant to spell it as reapproachment. Well, the reapproachment, in my opinion, has always been disingenuous. It has always been, right? That's why I've been saying, no progress, no progress, no progress. Right? Because some basic facts were not being addressed. Right? But again, diplomacy has to be diplomacy. I'm not a diplomat. Right? I'm not a diplomat. Right? So they did what they did, and they find out what they're finding out. Sadly, right? But again, they refuse. Why? Because they do not feel sorry. They do not. They feel like, you know what, they might even use this stone cold argument, right? It was a tactical error, or it was I don't know, what do they call it? I don't know, the price of the war or something, right? Wiping out whole entire families. Just doing all of this garbage in Israel. Okay. Okay. When you get hit, do not start complaining. Okay? And you're gonna find out that America, even the Israelis, one treacherous snake, right, is so bold right now because they have never been hit at home by any of their enemies, any of them. But they don't know that it's gonna lead to there. But so, you know what? Don't inform them. Just keep quiet about it. Right? Again, this is too obvious. Why is it too easy? Right? Everything else, the truth we have always struggled to find, and now it's like they're handing over the truth in a gold platter. Right? I'm not full of disbelief or anything like that. I do believe that they do play a role, right? But again, I brought this up during the elections and stuff, right? I said that people call out AIPAC and say they are too influential and this and that, but again, they are not the only lobby, and if we are talking about paying for influence, the AIPAC lobby is not the one paying the most, right? Then again, what is the motive? Then you find out it's only the thing that I've been talking about over and over. It's a spiritual thing, right? Because now maybe you might say maybe some lobbies are in cahoots, right? Maybe the Israeli lobby and the military people and the banking people are all in cahoots, but to what end? Like all I'm just saying is for them to have a end and a vision, right? All of these things have to come together and get spearheaded by a singular ideology. That's how it works, right? I'm not talking about that picture with Trump in the spearhead army and stuff. No, even though that is part of the deception, right? But again, what is their singular ideology, right? Because if they do not, then money cannot be the only language, right? Because money is not real. They know it. You should know it by now, right? And these are the questions that I want people to ask, right? Do not take it like it's much worse than this, right? These are not the most paying, oiling the gears and stuff. They are not the most people handing out the most money, There are many, many, many other lobbies, right? I even compared AIPAC to the Christian lobby, and some people say that the Christian Zionist lobby is even bigger than the Israeli lobby, like seriously. I heard this before, and people eloquently, as usual, gave historical examples, right? Because there is no historical example to say that Russia was ever a paper tiger, Countries like Russia and China, these people have known war for a long, long time. I was listening to this Chinese person, and he said that China over its history has partaken over 4,000 wars, and he quantified it as a war in every year. You have a war. And now they're like chilling, right? Even the Russians, right? They're not like what they used to be in their past, But I don't know, whatever they caught has not infected the Europeans, the Westerners, right? Because that disease has also affected the Arabs, right? The Arabs know their history, right? They know their history, right? And they are sick of it, and they do not want to see it repeat itself, right? Even though there are some who want to still relive that old thing that they had, They're everywhere, even in Japan, in Asia, even in Africa, right? The glory old days. But again, that is dead and buried. So again, paper tigers. Developing issue, right? They're just at this point just training you to equate ice with lethal force, and I don't know what that will result to. Hey, what do I know? Again, Why hasn't this become a big thing? Well, because it is to be expected. We've been knowing what these people are doing, right? And we got that truth the hard way, not that you told us or anything like that, you know? That's why we are not shocked, right? So this whole situation, to me, it seems like a confession of sorts, right? A confession of sorts, right? It was just him taking responsibility for all the wars, right? All of the things that he projected, right? The Ukrainian war, the whole speech. Take it as a confession, okay? And of course, he knows at the end of the road, yeah, going to hell. Hmm? Hmm? Meloni out here scratching. Okay. Right? It's unfortunate not to see more and more people literally just escorting. Just escorting. Right? Just escorting. Right? Because the nature that is upon these nations, very violent. And it's even most potent in these people here, right? Extremely potent, right? If even 1/3 of the things that are being said in this here channel are found to be true, then yeah, there's so much happening. Let's just say that, right? So anyway, a lot of noise, a lot of distractions, right? But I'm hoping people are starting to see an image that the fog of war is starting to clear, right? Things are indeed seem like they're gonna get worse, but again, everything is much more clearer now. Isn't that interesting, right? Everything is much more clearer now, right? Whilst people expected more and more confusion at this time, but it just happens like everything is more and more clear, right? The lie doesn't confuse people anymore. It is discerned to be a lie, right? So anyway, let me put a pin on it right there. Prince Easy signing out. Love you. Bye.